OCO. That's how we say hello in Cherokee. Greetings from various iconic trails where you can run, jog, and hike. No matter what the season is, be careful of the spines and thorns and stay on a pre-planned route during the most tolerable temperatures of each season. Watch for weather changes and be aware of rattlesnakes, bees, and any animals that might pose a risk. I pursue the runner's high each time I run, jog, and hike on my favorite trails and paths. I am RunnersHighDon, an American-Canadian Cherokee. Follow me on my journey, and maybe we'll learn something new together. You never know who you might run into. For now, let's run, jog, and hike trails together. Hello, OCO. OCO. Before we begin, always stretch and warm up. This is the second half of the 8.1 mile loop shown at a hyper pace of about 5:45 per mile. I am called Wado. Riparian Overlook. I used to get the runner's high frequently during my long runs. This is my authentic journey. I want to enjoy life while I still can, and achieving the runner's high regularly is part of my pursuit. It is also a pretty good form of therapy, which can help offer a temporary escape by bringing you into this natural realm of euphoria. If you need to use your cell phone, first find a place to pull over, like this guy did. Don't worry, he'll catch up to us. How does anyone explain the runner's high? Often, the longer you run with a running partner, the more you talk about the details of your life. When you run alone, however, you have time to sort through your own thoughts and conversations in your mind. I suggest that by the time you reach the age of 50, you will have found at least one regret that repeatedly runs on the treadmill of your mind. Some things can be repaired, of course, and perhaps at that point these things no longer qualify as being defined as regrets. But instead, they become part of the process that eventually results in a beneficial solution. The regrets that remain are typically the ones that cause us to run long distances while contemplating endless possibilities centered around that one question, what if? Even these contemplated possibilities require our efforts to process them out of each of our minds, if only for a short period of time. If only, while we run, we could truly traverse through time and prevent the crossroads in the past where any seed of regret was first planted, and thereafter the threads of time that followed would inevitably change. But even if we could change those crossroads, we could not be certain that we made a permanent difference or caused any ongoing solution to happen. There that guy goes again. I told you he'd catch up to us. What if? What would any of us give up in exchange for traveling into the past to make these adjustments while not changing the births of our children? Perhaps the thought of time travel is selfish at first, wanting to repair the threads in time that affect us personally. As for me, and as I ponder the many possibilities of alternate outcomes, my focus changes to wondering how far would I go to make the lives of my family and friends better, even at the cost of sacrificing my own needs for repair. The runner's high makes me feel as if I can travel into the past, even though I eventually have to return to the present. How are you? Dohiju. Good. Osta. How about you? Nihina. Arizona has mostly clear blue skies, but sometimes you see clouds. Connecting with nature helps a person let go of other things that might not need to be held in such high esteem. When we hold on too tightly to other things, it becomes more painful when life forces us to let go of those things. But that's just a part of life. However, balancing our perspective allows us to see that we can connect not only with nature, but with everything else. Not because we hold on too tightly, but because we have learned the art of letting go. Letting go of a handful of things we are gripping too tightly allows us to touch the rest of the world because our hands are now free. Everything around us is growing and changing. I suggest that we can navigate through life much easier when we learn how to let go of the old and adapt to the new. Most people call this going with the flow, but I think it is more philosophical than a simple phrase. One thing that can help us let go of any weights from our past is realizing that our perceptions of the world may not be accurate, and therefore we do not need to remain so steadfast in our perceptions, including those we have of other people. Maybe we are wrong about how we perceive others, and perhaps they deserve to be given the benefit of the doubt, even if limited to a smaller level. I think that it is much easier living life without the burden of creating more regrets. By giving our minds more room for the simple things in nature, we give less room for the things which should have a lower priority. In the present, I can only influence my future from each moment as I move forward, as if the birth of my awareness begins each day. Perhaps I should focus on the only thing that I can influence, and then live each day as if I had 100 of the exact same days to prepare for in advance for each and every day. Perhaps to live the day as close to being as perfect as possible. After living each day 100 times in advance, I imagine I would stop focusing on what I wanted, and I would then find a way to focus on what would make life-changing differences in the lives of those who I care for the most. Ultimately, one important lesson I return to is that I have to keep moving forward. This is true no matter what threads would have unraveled from the past, no matter what changes I could have ever made, and no matter how many times I could ever try to reset the course of time. What would I give to make a better life, forever, for my family and close friends? I think it would be worth sacrificing anything I could ever want for myself. This is the power of sorting through your thoughts, clearing your mind, and experiencing the runner's high. Don't stuff your thoughts. Instead, sort through them. Exhaust your thoughts until you return to the same answer to the what-if question. You return to the solution that you have to keep moving forward and try to live each day as if you had plenty of practice to get it right. If you want to learn more about becoming a minimalist, watch the animals in the desert. They don't need to have a fancy lifestyle to survive, yet they still find food, water, and shelter. Having outward compassion toward other living creatures, including humans, can open the door to having a greater peace of mind. Life is not always simple, but it should be. Getting back to nature can bring us back to our early years as children when we found awe and wonder in everything around us. I think that deep down inside of us, we are all just a community of much older children still discovering our world and universe together. There are so many things to appreciate and be thankful for, and these things capture our amazement, our admiration, and our respect. Within these 175 miles of trails in Saguaro National Park, I hope you find the trails that work best for you. This is part of the reason why I make these videos. In the end, the most important person to practice transparency with is yourself. Dismantling regrets takes a long process and often requires many long runs, jogs, or hikes. At the end of each day of clarity, you look back at the distance you have covered and have a better understanding of priorities. Some things can be changed. Other things require lifelong dismantling. It is the process, the distance we cover each day, which is important. It is my hope that somewhere during this process, we each learn how to forgive ourselves for our portion of those regrets as we keep moving forward, humbled to dedicate service for others. These are the most likely moments of surrender which allow us to experience the runner's high. Running is my therapy. I have been given my fair share of the weight of the world, but when I run, especially in nature, everything feels much lighter. Please. Howachu. Thank you. Wado. Sure. Okay. All right. You're welcome. Hoa. You probably thought there wasn't any water in the desert. We get a lot of water from the rain. Runner's high tip. You are more likely to experience the runner's high after about 40 minutes of exercise. In the Cherokee language, we do not say goodbye. Basically, we say, you and I will see each other again. Our English equivalent would be, till we meet again. RunnersHighDon. Thank you. Wado. Till we meet again. RunnersHighDon. Thank you for joining me. If you want to begin a running program, feel free to explore the links that I provide and read the samples to my recommended books. Till we meet again. RunnersHighDon.